Hi everyone, this video is a training on how to use 321 Ignition headless WordPress backend. So first I just want to give you guys a quick little introduction to how 321 Ignition WordPress works. So it's not a traditional WordPress. We're actually using headless WordPress. What that means, let me go back. What that means is we've separated the front end of the website, of the e-commerce website, from the back end. The back end is where all the API integrations is where how we actually manage the dealership inventory, pushing credit applications to F&I companies. It's pulling all the manufacturers' rebates and incentives. So all the back end stuff in terms of managing and running an e-commerce website. The front end of the website, of an e-commerce website, is the UX UI. Is basically the goal is to make it easy for anybody to be able to start creating pages, creating blog posts, updating homepage sliders on a dealership website without a really big learning curve. The most difficult part about learning and using a new software is the learning curve. Nobody likes to spend time learning a new software. So we used headless WordPress because most people are familiar with WordPress, the UX UI. And so we've kind of, it's a marriage of two perfect solutions, our very robust and powerful backend, and then using the intuitive WordPress that most people are familiar with for the front end to make it fast and easy for dealerships and for marketing agencies to be able to start updating the website. So let's dive in, and I'll show you guys how to use it. So when you log into your WordPress account, you would see this usually as a dashboard. On the left-hand side is basically where the most important things you'll need. So the first one is homepage sliders. This is if you want to update, like for example, let me show you this. So let's say this Nissan Stockton dealership. So these sliders or these things that are sliding through, they're called homepage sliders. And so to update those homepage sliders, you would basically click on here, homepage sliders. The top menu is basically right here. So if you want to update any of these links in the top navigation, you would actually click on top menu. And then if you want to add new pages or update some of the new pages, maybe an agency build, you will click on the web pages here. The rest of the buttons don't really matter, so you guys could ignore all those things. So there's just three things: homepage sliders, top menu, and website pages. And also, some dealerships also purchased the blog product from us. And then if you did, you will see blog posts show up right here. Okay, so let's go back. So here's your menu. So let's say, for example, you want to actually update these homepage sliders. So you would click on here, homepage sliders, and then you will see the homepage sliders are actually loading right here. And so this dealership has a lot of homepage sliders, which, by the way, we don't recommend because the more sliders you add, the more JavaScript you're basically adding, the more the website has to load a new image. And because we obsess over mobile first experience, if you really think about it, most people who are on mobile devices, they could be in an area with a slower internet connection. So you don't want to have a lot of flashy animations. And also, most people are probably not going to actually look through more than one or two sliders anyways. So it's kind of a little bit of a waste of time, but I know sometimes based on the OEM requirements, you might need to put more sliders. So let me walk you guys through how to do that. So let's say you came to the logged into your WordPress, and most dealerships will just see one slider, but some dealerships might have added a lot more. And so let's say you want to add another slider. So you scroll down, and there's this button that says add one more slider. So you click on that button, and then first you have to name what that slider will be. So let's say, for example, Valentine's Day. So you want to create a new slider for Valentine's Day. So you type it in, you click enter, now you saved it. Now you can actually click on it, and you will see expanded, and you'll see three boxes here. So the first thing is you want to be able to add a URL for where people should land on when they click on your homepage slider. So for example, if I go back to this dealership, so you see how they have all these different sliders. So depending on the slider, if I click on this one, Nissan Z, it took me actually to a page where they don't have Nissan Z. So that's kind of a horrible user experience. But let's say, for example, Nissan Ariya. Hopefully, yep, they have a bunch of Nissan. Oh, actually, it just took me to the inventory page. But anyway, so the point is, This URL is depending on the slider consumer clicks on, where do you want to land people on? So that's the URL for that. Then you'll see here opportunity to upload 2 different homepage slider sizes. One is for desktop website, and sorry, not the desktop website. It's one website, but one is for people who are on a desktop computer or laptop computer, and the other one is for mobile devices. Because mobile devices are smaller, there are different specs. Also, by the way, if you guys need to know what are the right specs for your creative team to actually design those sliders, if you go back to the very top, you'll see best practices, and you'll also see your homepage sliders. So if you click here on the instructions, it will open up a PDF file, and it will give you all the instructions with all the requirements and guidelines and the right specs to give to your designer to make sure their designing sliders are going to look good both on mobile and desktop. So the first thing you'll see here is banner sizes. So there's a desktop banner size, and then there's a mobile banner size. Please keep in mind that even though, let's say, for example, for a desktop, depending on the consumer's window screen, you actually could go create banners as large as, the banners will be as large as 1800 by 550 pixels. However, if a consumer has a smaller laptop screen size, you don't necessarily want to design a slider that covers the whole end-to-end. There needs to be what we call a content safe area. So what a content safe area is where you see these little dots. Anything outside of those dots means that there's a risk a person with a smaller computer screen will not see that. So to find out what the content safe area specs, you scroll down to another page, and you would see here again another example of a slider, and you'll see here banner size, and then you'll see content safe area. And you'll see the banner size, let's say, for example, for desktop is 1800 by 550, but the content safe area needs about 1100 pixels wide from both sides combined. So from this side and from this side. The risk of not actually designing the content inside this area is it will look something like this. Let me see if I could actually find it. Nissan. I've seen some dealerships actually don't follow this, and I want to show you guys as an example. Looks like actually this one's good. Gram.com. Let me see if I could find an example. Actually, it looks like all the sliders have now been fixed. But anyways, what I usually see is there'll be a text that would go over, let's say outside of where you see the logo. And so that means if a customer or consumer is on a smaller laptop screen size, they will not be able to see, let's say, for example, the word browse, because it's going to be outside of the content safe area. So anyways, make sure you follow these specs and you pass those specs to your designers to make sure they design it properly. So let's move on. So basically, once you've designed it, you would click on here and you would upload your desktop version of the slider, and then you upload a mobile version of your slider. And then the next thing you'll do is first of all, you click save, and then you'll click preview to preview what the slider is going to look like in staging environment. So just by clicking save, it doesn't mean it's actually consumers would see it. The consumers will only see it if you click publish changes. But before you click publish changes, you want to make sure you preview it and everything looks good. If it doesn't look good and you want to revert back, then you just click on load live banners, and it's going to reload what's currently live on the website if you haven't clicked publish yet. If you click publish, then there's no way to revert back. So make sure that you first, when you upload a new slider, you click save, then you'll preview it, and only if everything looks good both on desktop and mobile, then you click publish. By the way, so if you want to see if a slider looks good on mobile, you click on, so basically you right click anywhere on the page and you click on inspect, and then you will see this little button right here. You click on it and make sure you also click refresh, because sometimes you have to click refresh for it to load exactly what it's going to look like on mobile. So this is an example what it will look like on mobile. So it looks pretty good. So make sure that when you're previewing, you're going to do, let me do it again so you guys could see it. You do right click, inspect, and then make sure if it loads like this, make sure you click on this little button here to actually see what it'll look like on mobile. Okay, so the other thing for you guys to know is you can actually change the order of these sliders. So by going, let's say, drag and drop, whatever order you want. Again, if something you messed up and you want to go back, you could just click load live banners, and it's going to reload exactly how everything is on the site if you haven't clicked publish changes yet. And then of course there's a delete button. You could also click here to rename the banners, the sliders, and so on. So it's pretty self-intuitive, self-explanatory. By the way, we also have our contact information right here, the email address, our phone number. Please call us if you have any questions. Also, if you go back to the dashboard, there should be right there. Our contact information is also again right here. So if you get stuck, please contact our support team. Okay, the next thing for you guys to know is how to update a top navigation. So when you click on the top menu, this is what you will see. So this is going to show you what kind of tabs you currently have live on your website. So as an example, Nissan Stockton, they have first shop, then finance, then sell and trade, then service and parts, research and about us. And so you can actually see it here. It looks like there's for some reason showing up behind the screen. But anyways, you will see what kind of links are showing up as a sub category, sub menu, if you roll over these pages right here. And then also you could see what the menu will look like on mobile. The goal is to make sure that you're not cluttering the website. So many times I'll see dealerships will have, let's say for example, shop, and they will have like 20 different links. And that's actually a really, really poor user experience, because the more links you add, the more buttons you add, it's actually called a choice overload problem. It's like, imagine if, for example, if you're at a grocery store and then you're looking at the different cereal aisle. And if somebody gave you 50 options of cereal to choose from, you're going to go through this analysis paralysis. You're trying to figure it out. What's the best cereal for you to purchase versus if somebody only gave you 3 boxes of cereal to choose from, you'll make a decision faster. It's very intuitive and it's very easy. So even though of course you have access to WordPress and you could add as many links as possible, I highly discourage anybody adding too many sub navigations. So as an example, I like how Jack Ingram makes it very simple. When you click on inventory, you'll just see all inventory, all new, all used, trucks, SUVs, and cars. It's a little bit more simpler versus you see how like this is a little bit busy. It's kind of hard to read versus like if you put this one side by side. So you want to keep your navigation links as simple as possible. Or even let's say, for example, a lot of times I'll see dealerships will do something like this where there's too many options for service. And a lot of times I see the reason why dealerships and agencies add so many links on the top is because you've created all this great SEO content. But just keep in mind, if you have a lot of SEO content, it should be on your sitemap, but it doesn't need to go on your top navigation. The goal of a top navigation is to make it fast and easy for consumers to find what they're looking for. So the more links you add, the more words you add, the actually harder it is for a consumer to find it. So just there's a balancing act. Of course, you should be continuing to write more content, but you don't need to put everything in the top navigation or it will actually hurt the conversion rates. Okay, so if you want to, let's say, for example, add links, you just basically, let's say, for example, instead of shop, you could do, inventory as an example. And see, it allows me to start typing. By the way, the reason why you're seeing this little arrow message is because there's a character limit. The maximum characters for the entire top navigation is 55 characters, because the more categories you add, then the search box becomes really, really tiny. So as an example, you see how like the search box looks here, because they're using the word shop instead of inventory, because inventory has more letters. And so if you change shop to inventory, then it's going to start either getting too close to the logo, or it's going to make the search box really, really tiny, which means it's going to be harder for consumers to use your website. So for that reason, we have these guardrails set up where if you're going over the character limit, it's not going to let you actually save the changes. And so, like, for example, right now I just changed it from inventory to shop. Now it says you have 3 characters remaining. And let's say, for example, if you want to add sub menu. So what you'll do is you see how right here there's this little menu. So when you click on it, you will see a bunch of little sub menus. And so in here, you'll first put in what is the name of the link. and then where should a person land on if they click on a link. So as an example, for Nissan Stockton, if you click on all inventory in the top navigation under shop, you will land on the domain name of Nissan Stockton /inventory. Versus if you click on all new Nissans, you will land on a Nissan Stockton /Nissan new Nissan. So basically here you put in what the top navigation submenu should say. So as an example, if I go back here, you see how if I click shop, it says all inventory. So that's why it says here all inventory, but right here you put a link. Okay, so it's pretty self-explanatory. And also, by the way, if let's say you want to add a top menu and you don't want to have any sub-menus, then you'll click on this link, and that's where you'll put the link for the top level menu. But if you do have sub-menus, make sure you don't put any links here because then it's going to be a poor user experience. Only hyperlink the sublinks, or if you're hyperlinking top link, it's because you don't have sublinks. Hopefully this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to our customer support. And by the way, also, of course, to make sure to publish the changes, make sure you click save and then preview it and then publish. But if you want to revert back, you just click reset and reverts back. Okay, so now let's move on and let's discuss how you create web pages. So when you click here on the web pages, first you click on add new and let it load really quickly. Okay, so it loaded a page. So a couple of things for you guys to note. So first of all, notice how these buttons are disabled. They're kind of grayed out. And the reason why they're disabled is because you can't save a page without first naming a page, putting SEO title tag, meta description, URL. It's just impossible to save a page if it doesn't have a URL. So you have to put those things in order to be able to even save a page. So let's say, for example, I'm going to name this page testing. And the SEO title could be whatever you guys want. Of course, there's a lot of SEO best practices. And we do have recommendations right here. So normally your SEO title, you want to have a primary keyword separated by secondary keywords and then the dealership name. So let's say, by the way, just so you, in case anybody is wondering what's the SEO title tag. So if let's say, for example, I'm searching for used Nissan near me as an example. What you see right here, this is the SEO title tag and meta description. So this is a URL right here. This is a title tag, and then this is a meta description. The reason why this is important is because it actually affects your organic ranking. So for example, if let's say you published a new page and it has really good content, has really good keywords and things like that, and then Google starts crawled the page, and then it indexed the page, and then it started actually ranking the page. Ranking the page means, so first Google actually has to find the page, then it has to render, meaning like it's looking at what's on the page, like rendering the content. And then once it figure out what's on the page, then it decides to rank the page. Basically, where will this page show up in search results? First position, 10th position, or 100th position? Obviously, the higher it is in search results, the more likely people would see it and actually come to your website. But the key thing is when you publish a new page and Google starts crawling it and indexing it, it might first actually put it really high in search results because it's a new content. But if Google is serving this page but people are not clicking on it, then Google is going to think this page is not relevant and it's going to start decreasing the ranking. So the most important thing is once the page starts, once you create a page, you want to make sure that the title tag and this meta description is compelling enough for a person who's searching for whatever keywords you're optimizing for to want to click on it. So as an example, let's say I'm searching for used Nissans near me, and I see Bellevue Nissan and I'm located in Bellevue Nissan. Well, this is super relevant. I'm probably going to click on it. However, there's something wrong with this meta description. Looks like Google, for some reason, is ignoring the meta description this website company has, or this dealership actually put as a meta description, and instead they're just crawling and scraping what's on the page. Sometimes Google does that, and there's nothing you could do about it. But the key is to try to come up with a meta description that's going to be compelling for people to click on, because the more people click on it, the more it tells Google that this page is relevant And the more relevant it is, the more likely it's going to start showing up higher and higher in search results. And that means more people will see it and more people will come to your website. Okay, and then the final thing, of course, is a page URL. So page URL also has an impact on your SEO ranking, because Google looks at a lot of very different signals in terms of deciding how to rank a page. And one of the best practices is you want to use keywords that people are going to be searching for and that the page is about as part of your URL. So let's say, for example, if I go to Nissan Stockton, and let's say they have this 2022 Frontier, you see how their URL it says Nissan Frontier. And so this is one of the signals that tells Google, if somebody's searching for Nissan Frontier, that this is probably a very relevant website, very relevant page, and it's going to be more likely to rank it organically. So you'll put it here. Again, the best practice is to keep the URL short, so 30 to 60 characters, maybe 3 to 5 words. If you try to create a URL that's like, has, I don't know, 10 words, that was like one of those old SEO blackhead tactics that doesn't work anymore. Shorter URLs, that are more direct, sometimes perform better. So anyway, so let me show you guys an example. So I'm not going to spend the time right now coming up with my own SEO title tag, but just for demonstration purposes, because I want to show you how this page works, I'm going to copy this right here. And as you see here, as I start typing words, it's going to tell me how many characters I have left. So the system is not going to let you put more characters than you need to. And then, of course, you need to put in a meta description and then URL slug. I'm going to do testing 3, 2, 1. And notice, like, as soon as I put all this information, now the button save is actually enabled. So now I can actually save the page. It doesn't mean it's published yet, because until I hit publish, the page is not live. Nobody will actually see it. Okay, so while it's actually saving the page, I'm going to move on. So the next thing you'll see is the cover photo, this cover box. The purpose of this cover box is to make sure that as you or your agency, creative marketing agencies, are creating new pages, you want to make sure that the pages have kind of a similar theme. Okay, so the page has been saved. By the way, the first time you create a page, it could take maybe a minute or two, because what it's doing is it's actually not only just creating the page, but it's also updating the sitemap. It's doing it's doing a bunch of things in the backend, applying all the technical SEO stuff. So it might take like a minute or two the first time you create a page. So just be patient. It will save it. Okay, so back to the cover page. So let me show you an example. So let's say you go to Nissan Stockton. The goal is, as a consumer is browsing through from page to page, you want all the pages to look kind of similar. Think of it as, imagine if you're at the Macy's department store. If you're in a men's shoes department, and then later on you went to a men's suits department, each department is going to have somewhat of a similar theme. So you still know that you're at the Macy's store, versus if, shoes department look completely different from the suits department, you could be like, am I still at Macy's or not? So same thing with websites. So notice how here, if I go to get pre-approved, you see how there's this background cover image, and then there's this headline. But then if I go to, let's say, for example, sells your car, there's again this background image, and then of course the text. So that's what the cover photo is for. So if you click on the media library, and you click on the media library, you will see when we launched your dealership website, we would have already uploaded the backend cover image. So let me find this image first of all. Let me go. I'm going to go scroll down to the bottom. Okay, so you see here's an example, one of them. And there actually might be a bunch more. So let's see. Okay, this one is an example. Banner service scaled. So I click on this, and now I can actually create a banner. So first thing you'll notice here is we want to, of course, create a headline. And again, one of the best practices in SEO, that every page needs to have at least one H1 tag. Going back to the SEO best practices, let's say, for example, if I'm creating 2022 Nissan Frontier, it's best practice to have Nissan Frontier keywords in your URL, but also to have those keywords part of your H1 tag, because then it says to Google, it signals to Google that this page is very likely going to be about Nissan Frontier. So if somebody's searching for Nissan Frontier, this is going to be a super relevant page for them. So basically, you put here headline. So headline. And notice how this is automatically set to H1. Of course, you could change it to other H2s. But again, the best practice is the big top of the page should be H1. By the way, the one thing you'll notice is how right here, the font face doesn't match the dealership font face. And that's because right now it hasn't applied any CSS. Once you actually click save and then preview, once you preview it, in the preview, in the staging environment, in the live environment, you will see this dealership font style and cascade styling sheets will be applied. So now that, like, for example, it's saved, let me show you guys as an example. So right here, so you see I just created this headline, and the font style matches the rest of the website. So one of the goals of our WordPress is to make it fast and easy for absolutely anybody to be able to build new pages without knowing any brand guidelines. Our UX UI designers already applied all the brand guidelines, and now your WordPress is already set up for you to be able to just go in and put copy in without actually worrying, am I using the right font face? Am I using the right font size, colors for buttons and things like that? Everything is automated. Okay, so let's say, for example, now, if I go back to, by the way, notice that once you're in staging environment, all the links will work. Actually, that was a bad example. Okay, so let's say, for example, if I click on sell trade, these pages would work, but the inventory pages will not work. It's going to give you error 404 because you're not in a live environment. You're in staging environment. The inventory pages only work in live environment, but don't worry about it. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so let's say, for example, now if let's say if I want to add a button, let's say, like, for example, this one, get instant cash offer. So what you'll do here, one of the best parts about our WordPress is, again, you don't have to know how to code. You could have a copywriter, producing SEO content and just going in and quickly building these pages. So as an example, when you hover over, you'll see this little plus sign show up. And so if you click on this little plus sign, then it's going to give you a bunch of content blocks. You see comment blocks and a bunch of other stuff. One of the shortcuts is if you type in 321, you will see all the content blocks that we created specifically for dealerships. So one of them, for example, right here is buttons. And by the way, you actually don't even need to click 321. So let me remove this. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, so right here. So if I click on this, if I type in button, you'll see the buttons content block will show up. So then when you click on it, it allows you to quickly create a button. So let's say, for example, if I'm creating a page about Nissan Frontiers, and of course one of the best practices in user experience is you want to have a call to action, aka button, at the top of the page. Because as soon as somebody lands on a page, even if they don't read the content, you want to make it easy for them to get to the pages where they're going to become a lead, which is inventory or credit app or so on and so forth. So now let's say, for example, if I type in view inventory as an example. So notice in WordPress is showing up around like this, but don't worry, again, because in WordPress CMS, it's not applying your cascade styling sheets. So what you see in the WordPress, it's actually not what the design is going to look like. The WordPress CMS is just designed to make it, for you to be able to go put in the content, but there's no way to actually make this section apply the CSS. But if I click preview as an example, there's the button is showing up, and you see how it's square. It has this little arrow button. It's using the right font face. So it's automatically applying the cascade styling sheets for buttons for this specific dealership. The other thing is you'll notice here is you could actually click on this little, circular button, and you'll see multiple calls to actions. There'll be primary, secondary, tertiary, and I don't know why it's called pink. So if I click on primary, and then if I click save, wait for a second. Okay, come on. Okay, it's saving. Okay, now let's preview. Okay, notice how now it changed it to red, because this dealership, the primary call to action is automatically buttons that are red. So notice how I didn't have to go in and start changing the colors, the shadows, the arrows, or anything. I just literally just clicked on it, and I, on this little thing, and I selected as a primary call to action, secondary, tertiary, whatever it is. The next thing is you can also actually say where you want to align it. So let's say, for example, you click out, not on the button, you click outside of the button. So like this. and you'll see this content block is just for the section where the button is. And then when you click on here on this little lines, and you'll be able to do centered. Now the button is centered. Of course, then also make sure that you hyperlink your button, so when somebody clicks on this button, where should they go? So in here you put in the URL, and then if, let's say, for example, it's a third-party website that you want to link them to, the best practice is you want to click on this open a new tab, which means if somebody actually clicks on that button, so let's say, for example, what would be a good example? Okay, like this page. So let's say, for example, if I was linking to another domain name, I don't want to take people off the page, off the site. So what I would have done is I would have put in this URL, but then I would have actually clicked on this little open a new tab. So then that way, when somebody clicks on this button, they're not going to a brand new domain name on the current from the current website. It's not gonna take people off your domain, but it will still open another domain. So here's an example. If I click refresh, so here's the button. If I click on this button, notice how it just opened a new window. So that's a best practice. If you're going to be linking to other domain names, make sure you always click on right here, open a new window. Okay, let's move forward. So by the way, another thing is, you see how this headline is really, really close to the button? So if you want to add space, all you have to do again is click on this little plus sign and then type in spacer. And then actually the spacer dropped for some reason below the cover, so it's okay. I could drag and drop. Oops, let me do it again, right there. And so now I've dropped the spacer here, and you see it's pretty big space. I don't need that much space. So what you do is you drag again to narrow down as maximum as little as I could go. And again, I click save. And then when I click on preview, once it's saved, you will see it's going to add like a perfect amount of space between a headline and a button. So let's wait for it for a second. Okay, now click preview. There you go. See, it added more space. And by the way, everything that you do in WordPress, it's going to be automatically optimized for mobile. So for example, for Nissan and Stockton, the buttons on a mobile look wider. So you see how it changed to wider. But automatically, the formatting and everything applies to both desktop and mobile. Those are some of the guardrails we have set up. So you guys don't have to worry about anything. You could just, your copywriter could just start building pages. Okay, so let me show you a bunch more really quick content blocks. So the goal is to make it fast and easy for you to create pages using content blocks, but of course you could also use HTML. So if you click on HTML, then it will give you opportunity to write custom HTML if you would like to. And then of course you could delete it. But let's say you wanted a little shortcut. So let's say you want to create this your make model type of page. Instead of having one of your developers and then first designers prototyping and make sure it looks good on mobile and desktop, and then developers sitting there and coding it, we've actually already done everything. So if you go back to here to WordPress, and let's say you click on a plus sign and you type in SEO, you'll see two types of SEO model pages. One is SEO single model page, and another one is you compare SEO model pages. So if you click on this SEO model page, it's automatically going to pre-populate for you this design that looks good both on desktop and mobile. So then the only thing your copywriter has to do is actually put the copy. So right here, they'll upload an image of a vehicle. So let's say you click on media library, and let's say I want to add this vehicle. And then here you put in whatever the headline of this year make model, starting MSRP, highway mileage. Also the call to action, we pre-populated, get pre-approved, but you could change it to whatever you wanted. Make sure don't forget to put the URL where the people should land on when they get to this page. And then here you just start writing content. This is, you see, is a placeholder. And then there's accordions right here. And so you would just start writing. So first you put a headline. So headline 1. And then, of course, you click on it and you start typing blah, 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 blah. And then again, you put headline 2. And by the way, notice how H3 is applied. So right here is H2 applied automatically. Right here is H1 applied automatically. So as you'll notice, we have a bunch of guardrails in place, you applying all the SEO best practices to make it fast and easy for your team, for your agency to be able to build new pages without actually any developer resources. So anyway, so let me do save. And then once it saves, I will show you what it looks like. Come on. Okay, now let's preview. There you go. So I literally just within seconds rebuilt this exact same page. It literally took me seconds. I did not have to do any kind of code writing SEO or any custom HTML code at all. I didn't need to design anything. It just literally just really easily created this page. And of course, it looks amazing on mobile because that's one of our huge obsessions. It's the mobile user experience. And of course, you see how like this one right now, this gray square is really big. So if I go back here, I can actually drag and drop. So you see I reduced the margin to 8 pixels just by dragging and dropping. And let me see, is there anything else I could remove? Okay, let's try it again. If I click save, even though it looks like there's a lot of space here, but if I preview it, I bet you anything I'm not going to see that much space now that I've reduced the margins. So let's see. Okay, preview. There you go. See, it removed that space in there. Okay, so the other thing is you'll notice how in here, they also have this photo gallery. So to insert a photo gallery, again, you just click on the content block. Let's say this one, and then let's do gallery. And then let's say you click on the media library. And now you could just go in and start adding multiple images. So you see like there's multiple check marks. So I just select a bunch of images. So now if I click on create a new gallery, it's going to load like this. Oh, actually, I think I used the wrong gallery. So this is one example of a gallery, but you know what? I'm going to remove this gallery and I'm going to do another one. Photos. Okay, so you could do images like this. Media library. Okay. Let's see if I do it this way. Okay, this one's only allowing me to do one image. I don't want to do that either. Let me remove that. Okay, let me try another one. Let's see, what are my other options here? Accordion, is it? No, this is accordion. Section, what is section? Nope, that's not, I don't want to do that either. Let me try common, heading, service coupons, accordions, inventory carousel, buying center layout, why us. Okay, there's a lot of basically options, but so the point of this is I want to show you that you could do all kinds of stuff without actually knowing how to code, and just by using content blocks. Like you could create bullet list as an example, blah blah blah. Whoops. By the way, when you're writing bullets, you just click enter and it gives you another bullet. But let's say, for example, you don't want to have another bullet, so you click on your keyboard shift and enter, and then you will be able to type without any bullets in there too. And then of course you could always change it. Let's say if you don't want to do bullets, you want to change it to quotes, you could change it like this and it will allow you to write paragraphs. And so then if let's say you want to change this to headline, you click on the headline. You could also click on, let's say, quotes, and it changes to what quotes will look like. You see how it applies this little line here. So imagine here, testimonial goes here and it's pretty long. And so now if I click save, it's going to allow me to add the testimonial with this kind of a design. Come on, load. Okay, now preview. Okay, scroll down, and there you go. There's a design, and the line right now is really short because I only have one line of text, but if I had more text, it would have been longer. So actually, now that I've added more text here, let's click save and preview, and you'll see that the testimonial section is going to be more bulkier. Okay, while it's doing that, you could also, of course, add videos. So you could do like this video, and then you could upload a video. I don't recommend uploading a video because it's going to slow down the website. The best practice is actually, if you want to add a video, is you upload a video to YouTube, and then you'll just embed the YouTube link. That's going to be better best practice. So let's actually go to YouTube. YouTube.com. Let's say, for example, look for Nissan Pathfinder 2023. So you go in, let's say this one. And
site security is a never-ending.
Okay, and then so basically if you click on share and you copy this URL, then you will be able to go and put this URL, click embed, and that video is going to be embedded in the page. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is how to create meet the team and coupons. And so actually let me delete all this stuff from here. And by the way, to delete the content blocks, you could just click on the little dots and remove it. But sometimes there's so many layers. It could take a while to delete it, but let me quickly do it. And I want to show you guys two more things and then I'll be done, and then you could just go in and explore. By the way, I also notice how here when you add this little content block area, you could do it full width or without full width. What that does is basically, should the gray background, for example, be to the end of the margins, or should it just be, to the content safe area? So for example, if I uncheck it and I do save, you'll see here. And the reason why this is useful is because if the page is really long, you want to be able to separate it by using different colors. So that's why this background color is actually helpful, and you could change to whatever color you want. You could add custom colors. Okay, so let's do preview. Okay, so see how by removing this full width, now instead of this gray being all the way to the margins, it's actually only doing it to the content safe area. Okay, so let me remove this, and I want to show you two more things and then I'll be done. So one of the things is if you want to add coupons, for example. So first you want to add columns, and then you select how many coupons you want to have per page. So let's say I'm going to do 3, and then you click on each of those columns and you'll type in coupons, and then there's service coupons, and you could also do finance coupons. If you do finance coupons, you will see it will pre-populate this type of a text here. And then here you could actually type in, let's say 2022, let's say Nissan Pathfinder, and then you could add additional text if you wanted. If you don't, you could actually remove it. You could click on the media library, upload that photo for that vehicle, and then you could also do, let's say, lease offers or purchase offers. Like purchase is usually interest rates, and lease could be, let's say, monthly payments. So you could do, for example, $500 per month for, let's say, 36 months. And then you could put whatever text you guys want. And if you don't want to have both lease and finance, or maybe you want this to be purchase instead of lease, but you want to talk about monthly payment instead of interest rates. So basically everything is customizable. But as you could see, the goal of these content blocks is we already worked with our designers and developers to pre-program everything. So then that way you guys don't have to waste any time or money, resources on developers, designers. So everything is already pre-built, just like that. And then here, let me delete this to make it easier and cleaner, like that. And then of course there's calls to actions. And again, you could add here, let's say, view inventory as an example, or you could do, let's say, get pre-approved because you're promoting finance offer. And the one thing you'll notice right here, it says terms and conditions, and then you see this little gray box. In the WordPress, you'll see this gray box like this. But once you publish the page, you actually won't see it. So let me show you. So you put terms and conditions, go here. So now if I click save and preview, and by the way, the reason why I added the 3 columns first, because if you don't have 3 columns, this coupon would have been really, really wide. So, but now you can actually see a coupon, more narrow boxes. Okay, so if I click preview, there you go. So see how this coupon is showing up on the page, and the terms and conditions is a hyperlink. But if I click on it, then it's going to open it up and show me all the terms and conditions. So again, it's designed to look really good on both mobile and desktop. So this is how it will look like on a mobile device. And you could do the same thing with the finance coupon, with the service coupons. So click service, and it's going to give you a different layout, because for service, usually you want to do like oil changes or whatever it might be. Okay, the last thing I want to show you guys. Let me see. How do I delete this? Okay, so the last thing is I want to show you is meet the team. So if you click on, again, in the content block and put in meet the team, you will see this little widget show up, and all you have to do is just upload pictures of your team members. Let me see if I could quickly find one of the team members. Where's my team members? Looks like they don't have any team members. Okay, I'm gonna use this picture here. So you could also, of course, resize it, crop it if you need to. You put in the name, you put in a department if you want to. If you don't want to, then all that is gonna disappear. Email, phone number. You can even put languages, like let's say they speak Spanish or Russian or whatever it might be. Then on your keyboard, just click enter and it's gonna show up like this. And again, you could also add background color right here. So you could do background color, and let me see. What are other most important features? I think that's it. And then of course you could write a headline here if you want a headline. You don't have to write a headline. And then if you want to add more people, you just click on this little plus sign and you could add as many profiles as you want. And so again, if you click save. Okay, wait for it. Okay, so preview. There you go. And now you're actually able to create Meet the Team page. And again, of course, everything looks great on mobile because it's designed for mobile. So every template, everything we built is going to automatically look good on mobile. Of course, you're welcome to do custom code just by doing HTML. And then you could put your own custom CSS, HTML, JavaScript. But if you don't want to waste time and resources on developers, then you could use our content blocks. So hopefully you guys found this interesting and useful. By the way, don't forget to hit publish, because until you hit publish, none of this is actually going to be public. So make sure you hit publish. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you guys are having fun building new pages. Thank you so much. You have a great day.